First speaker for today is Mr. Wan Muhammad Shanijam bin Wan Ali. So Mr. Wan is a head of operations in the Sensen Chemical Berhad Company, which is under CCM Group of Company. So today Mr. Wan would like to share with us his job scope and working experience in his company after he graduated from the chemical engineering program.
And then good morning to everyone. Before that, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Wan Shanijam, and then currently I'm as a head of operations in the Sensen Chemical Berhad. Basically, the Sensen Chemical Berhad is under Batu Kawan Berhad Group. In Ipoh, we have a Balisino Chemical Industry. We also have 3 branches of CCM, as well as Sensen, we also have 3 branches of Sensen Chemicals. And then today I have a privilege of being head operation in the sulfuric acid manufacturing plant. I spent about 15 years working in the chemical industry, and today I excited to share with you the world of the chemical engineering and how we play a role in the chemical industry. And my focus is the sulfuric acid plant. Okay, here is the agenda overview of what we are going to discuss today. We start understanding what is the chemical engineering and how it connects to the industry. And then the second one, we explore the chemical engineering. Why chemical engineering is what we call indispensable in the chemical industry. The third one is we discover the various role of chemical industry in the different part of the sulfuric acid plant. And then finally, we will dive into the unique significance of the sulfuric acid, which is one of the cornerstone chemical in our field. Okay, the first one, everyone is wondering, what actually is the chemical engineering? So let's kick things off by answering the fundamental question. What actually is the chemical engineering? In a simple word, chemical engineering is a discipline that unites the chemistry, physics, and mathematics to tackle a challenge in the chemical industry. And then it's also related to the application of the chemical material. Okay, let's embark on our journey by uncovering the world of chemical engineering. Okay, chemical engineering actually is the art of turning a concept into the reality. In a simple word, it's like a wizard who transforms the fundamental element chemistry, physics, and mathematics into the real world solution. Okay, but actually, what does this mean? In the chemical engineering, we produce so many chemicals, so many things that involve in our everyday life. For example, like toothpaste, also one of the ingredients is the sulfuric acid and all that. And then it's not about just creating something new. It's about making things better. We as a chemical engineer, we must make sure that when we produce something, when we do something, we make it better. I can say that we are like a champion of the efficiency. Always looking ways to produce more with less, to minimize waste, and to reduce the environmental impact. In the essence, chemical engineering is about making the world cleaner, safer, and more sustainable, all while pushing the boundary of what possible. Okay, next, I goes to the important. What is the importance of the chemical engineering? Why is the chemical engineering is vital in the chemical industry? You may ask. This is because the chemical engineer are the, I can say, like architects of innovation, safety, efficiency, and sustainability. Our work drives innovation, ensures safe chemical operation, optimize production efficiency, and contribute to environmental sustainability. But our story does not end here. Let's now focus on one of key chemical that I'm working with, which is sulfuric acid. This is pictures of one of the plant that I visited in the Jakarta, Indonesia previously. But this is not the sulfuric acid plant, this is a potassium sulfate plant. Okay, let's move to the next slide for the sulfuric acid. Now let's talk about the sulfuric acid. Why the sulfuric acid? We know it's the king of chemical. When we talk about the sulfuric acid actually is one of the most traded chemical commodity in the world. We call it the king of chemical because it's used in so many applications. For example, let's say in the farming industry, the sulfuric acid makes our crop grow better. It's like plant food. But for the whole field of plant, this helps to feed the people all over the world. In the world of car and engine, sulfuric acid makes the fuel you put in your vehicle cleaner and more efficient. And then in making everyday stuff like detergent, color for clothes, and even medicine, sulfuric acid is like a potion. It helps chemists to create the thing that we use every day. Actually, I can say that the sulfuric acid is a behind-the-scenes hero that makes a lot of cool stuff happen. It's like a secret ingredient in the recipe that makes everything work just right. And then as a chemical engineer, we are actually like a chef in charge of using the special ingredient to create another amazing thing. Okay, for the next slide, I will discuss about the role of chemical engineer in the sulfuric acid production. Now let's peek behind the scenes. Actually, what does a chemical engineer do when it comes to make a sulfuric acid? Think of it as an architect and problem solver of the chemical world. We're creating and improving the process that turn the raw material into this chemical. One of our job in the sulfuric acid plant is we need to design the recipe for making the sulfuric acid. We decide what ingredient that we need to use. For example, in this case, like sulfur and the catalyst, and how we want to process them together in the best way. But it's not just about the recipe. It's about making the process as efficient as possible. We as a chemical engineer need to use our knowledge to optimize the condition. For example, we need to optimize the temperature. We need to optimize the pressure to get most of the sulfuric acid out of its batch. Like it's simple like we should squeeze every drop of the orange juice. And then, of course, as a chemical engineer, the safety is a top priority because we deal with the highly corrosive chemical. Chemical engineer need to make sure that everyone work with the sulfuric acid is protected. We need to design the system and procedure in place to prevent accident and keep the environment safe. At the same time, also, we also like a detective. We need to constantly looking for ways to make the process better and environmental friendly. We work on reducing waste, saving energy, and making sure the whole operation runs smoothly. So basically, a chemical engineer are the mastermind behind the scene, making sure that we have a steady supply of sulfuric acid for the amazing thing that it's used for. We do it while making sure it's safe and efficient. Process design and optimization for sulfuric acid. We are, as a chemical engineer, we need to design and optimize the process to make the sulfuric acid. It's something like we need to create a perfect recipe of your dish, but instead of food, it's a chemical. Now let's imagine you want to bake a cake. You need to decide on the right ingredient like flour, sugar, eggs, and you need to figure out what is the best way to mix them. In a similar way, the chemical engineer, we also need to decide on the ingredient for making sulfuric acid, like sulfur and catalyst, and the best way how to mix them together. But actually, that's not all. We also need to make sure that the oven is just set at the right temperature and pressure. Actually, it's something like we need to ensure the cake bakes at the perfect temperature to come out on the fluffy and delicious. We as a chemical engineer need to optimize this condition to get most of the sulfuric acid possible from each batch. And then, like I mentioned before, safety is very important. We as a chemical engineer need to design everything to keep everyone safe. It's like making sure everyone in the kitchen is wearing the oven and meat and not getting burned. We need to create safety measures to prevent accident and protect environment. At the same time, also, we also just don't just stop there. We as a chemical engineer are like a detective, always look out for the ways to make the process even better. We work on reducing waste, saving energy, and making sure the entire operation runs smoothly. So, as a summary of that, chemical engineer is like a chemist in charge of creating the perfect recipe for the sulfuric acid. We are not, we will make sure it's not only efficient but also safe and environmental friendly. This is the important part when we're working in the highly corrosive environment, especially in the sulfuric acid plant. Let's move to the next slide regarding to the safety and environmental consideration. Okay, now let's talk about safety. How the chemical engineer ensure that making sulfuric acid is safe and does not harm the environment. Like I said before, safety is our top priority in the chemical engineer. We need to design everything to make sure that everyone working with sulfuric acid is safe. At the same time, we as a chemical engineer, we need to create a plan and system to prevent the accident. We need to ensure that the equipment that we use is in a good shape, and when there are emergency happen, the procedure was in place, just like having a first aid kit. Everything need to be in place immediately. You need to have a proper plan. You need to have a proper gear. You need to have a proper uh, team in order to in case of any emergency happen. So basically, the chemical engineers is like a guardian of safety environment in the world of chemical production. We not just make sure everything runs smoothly and safely, but we also need to take care our. Okay, this is one of the role of the chemical engineer, quality control and assurance in sulfuric acid. Now let us chemical engineer make sure the sulfuric acid they produce is in the good quality. It's something like how is a chemical engineer need to ensure that when we produce when we bake a cake, the cake are delicious and perfect. Imagine when you were baking a cookies, and then you want each of one to be delicious. You can use the ingredient, you try and check that doesn't burn. Chemical engineer also do something similar with the sulfuric acid. We as a chemical engineer need to make sure the sulfuric acid is the right flavor by checking its purity and concentration. It's like making sure your cookies, for example, like not too salty and then not too sweet. We also need to ensure the sulfuric acid that we produce meet the specific standard. When we come to the QC, the quality control, it means we need to regularly test the sample to ensure everything is on track. When we call it, it's like a taste testing for your cookies. You want to see if they're yummy or you want them to be. And then the QA or quality assurance is not about having a plan to ensure the quality stay consistent over time. It's like having a recipe that you must follow every time when you bake those perfect cookies. So the chemical engineers are the quality inspector in the sulfuric acid kitchen. We need to make sure that every batch is just right and up to the standard. So it can be used in all the important applications that rely on the sulfuric acid. Okay, this is the one of the last part, the career opportunity in sulfuric acid. Let's talk about the exciting job opportunities for you in the sulfuric acid world or generally in the chemical world. You as a student need to think it's like exploring a different path you can take like in the forest. Let's say, for example, if you love puzzle and problem solving, you can become a process engineer. The process engineer are like the architect of the sulfuric acid world. the designing and improving how the chemical is made. For example, if you are more to making sure that everything is safe, you as a chemical engineer also when the industry, you can become the safety engineer. Basically, the job is to ensure that everyone working the chemical stays safe. Let's say, for example, the one you don't love to problem solving, you don't love to make it safe, you love to making sure everything agreed and environmental friendly. And then you as a chemical engineer also, there's a pathway for you to become a environmental engineer. Environmental engineer actually the work is to reduce waste, save energy, and keep the world is environmentally safe. And if you are quality enthusiast, love making sure that everything is just right, you can become a quality control specialist. Actually, when you become a chemical engineer, it's not just about you become a chemical engineer after you graduated. Actually, there is so many branches of chemical engineering that you work with when you take this course. So basically, in the chemical industry or the sulfuric acid industry, there is a role for everyone. Whether you enjoy the solving problem, whether you enjoy to ensuring safety, whether you want to protect the environment or ensure the quality, it's like choosing your own adventure into the world of the chemical. Okay, as the conclusion, let's sum up. Second, a journey to a world of chemical engineering and the remarkable role of sulfuric acid. But what does this all mean for you as a student who are interested in this field? Imagine you are on a exciting guest with a treasure map. In this case, the treasure is a rewarding career as a chemical engineer. As a chemical engineer, you become a real life problem solver, much like a superhero in the science world. You get to design and optimize the process, like a master chef creating the perfect recipe. And then, as well as when you become a chemical engineer, it's not just your career stops there. For example, in my company, under the CCM Berhad Chemical, 70% of our top management was a chemical engineer, starting from GM, general manager, our managing director, all also a chemical engineer. Because chemical engineer, we not only understand we not only understand science, physics, chemistry, but we also have a strong mathematics background. When you move up to your career, for example, you're starting as a process engineer, senior process engineer, you become a manager, general manager, and director, you are easily to understand what are other things are doing because you have a solid foundation of not only just about science, you also have a solid foundation in the mathematics as well. That's why when in the chemical industry, normally the top management is from they have a chemical engineering background. Okay, doctor, that's all for my presentation today, doctor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wan, for your sharing. Actually, from what you are sharing is when we talk about the chemical engineering, yes, everyone will think about chemical industry will be the one of the choice for the chemical engineer student to enter the to be their career in future. Yep. And then Mr. Wan have clearly mentioned about as a process engineer. So every day his task will include to design the process because they have they know what is the product they want, the chemical they want. They need to design the process how they can produce the product that they're looking for. Another thing is about the safety maintenance. They must make sure the process is safe enough, and also from time to time need to go through the process optimization to optimize the yield of the product, and then they also need to check the product quality, and also they must play the important role to take care on the environment. For example, like have a proper waste management. All this is covered in his job scope as an engineer in the Sansan Chemical Berhad. So another thing Mr. Wan has shared with us is very insightful is about the opportunity of jobs in chemical plant. So besides as a process engineer, we also can be the safety engineer or environmental engineer or quality control specialist. So all these things is very helpful to us. So, but I would like to ask Mr. Wan, in your opinion, since we know that chemical industry, most of us will concern about the safety issue. It seems like it's a high concern for the safety. But from your explanation just now, we know that safety is always under the control properly and follow the guidelines, whatever. So I got one question to ask you. May I know, is there any chemical engineer that is a female who work in your company?
Female engineer, doctor.
Yes.
Absolutely. We have a lot of female engineer in our industry. I think it's about maybe 50% of them of a female engineer. Actually, when you become a professional, you become engineer or other role as well. Actually, the women are not only suitable, but actually they also, I can say that some of them are exceptional, well equipped to try the role as an engineer with the chemical industry. Because in our field, as chemical engineer, it's not about it's about the problem solving. It's not about the gender. It's about the creativity. It's about innovation. And this quality actually is not bound by the gender, whether you're male or female. Firstly, because when we diversify in the workplace, we have a male engineer, we have the female engineer. Actually, our thinking is different. It's like something like it's bring a variety of perspective when we have a problem. Yeah. For example, in the field as a dynamic in the chemical engineering, having a diverse workforce will enhance the ability to tackle the challenge or problem in the different angle. And then normally when we have a discussion with the male and female engineer, the result of that become a more comprehensive and effective solution. Because there is a weakness on the male engineer can cover by the female engineer. And then the other round as well. There's a weakness in the female engineer, that can be covered by the male engineer. Actually, we are complement each other as a engineer. It's not like because we are not a operator, we are not a welder. Because now you see the truck driver also, we have a truck driver, female. We have the welder also female. Now I can say that most of the work in this world is not about the gender. It's about how you want to deliver yourself in the industry.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Wan, for your opinion. Yeah, that means that in chemical industry, it's not just limited to male because female also can be involved. We are in a similar, we have the similar opportunity, not because of a safety concern that will limit the female to join the industry, whatever, since the safety will be also one of the important consideration in the industry as well. All right. Thank you,
correct,
Mr. Wan. Yeah.
I just want to add up. In fact, even our discussion today, our room today, 50% I think from the teacher are women, are the women engineer, are the female engineer. That's why I think there's no issue whether you're male or you're female, whether you're man or you're woman. It's not a problem when you want to grow in your professional